on YouTube first.
Oh, okay. Oh, she said it was recording, so I figured we're live.
Oh, that's recording. You gotta
Yes,
get the other
okay.
recording going. Then the meetings are archived and posted. They're on YouTube. Yeah, okay, good. Yes.
Super fast. Live.
Okay, we're now live.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this county URA meeting to order. I'm Todd Burton, the chair. We'll go with everybody. Start down here at this end.
Jessica Hazelton, your North Bend, also professor of business management at Southwest Community College.
Rob Taylor.
Rob Taylor. Yep.
Tim Slater, North Bend citizen.
Megan Richardson, board staff. Jennifer Sierra, board staff.
Kyle Stevens.
Winnell Comstock, chief executive officer, board of Coos Bay. Bruce Ham, board. Chris Parcher, board staff.
And we have a gentleman just showed up.
Taylor Marwood, economic development manager of Southwest Development.
Welcome. Anyone online? Okay, Elaine.
Hello, I'm Elaine Howard. Here I have your request to assist you.
Thank you. And Joe? If you want to introduce yourself, we're doing an introduction.
Okay. Bruce Farmer, Coos County Commissioner. I was leaving the visitor seat open.
Oh, very good. You can see the plaque. Olivia's. And then Joe, is that Joe Benetti? Okay, so, Joe left this temporarily. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll get him back. We'll move right on to our discussion item. 3A, determine the future of this agency. So I believe Coach Scott has a presentation to make.
That's where I want to begin. Yes.
Yes,
I'm
let's
happy to-
begin with the presentation.
Open that up. So at the board meeting last week, the county gave us the opportunity to provide them with the project needs of the URD or alternative plans to resolve it. So I created a presentation. There's a collaborative effort between the board members. So if anybody has anything to say while I present this presentation, please speak up and add to my slides. So. Okay, and so I just wanted to start by outlining the objectives of the CCRA. The agency was created to eliminate blight and to build out infrastructure, to stimulate development, to create jobs, and to increase the county's tax base. So we can't forget that the URA was created as a tool for economic revitalization, which I feel like is why most of us are here. We are here to promote economic development. We are here to create more jobs. So I think that you'll find that throughout this presentation, even though we haven't completed any projects within the last few years, there's a great need for the URA. The first project proposed is one that Todd had mentioned to me. It's for improvements of the intersection of Highway 101 and the Trans-Pacific Parkway. The intersection is a large bottleneck and will only get worse with the increased traffic on Trans-Pacific Parkway. This would require a partnership with ODOT, but includes widening the intersection on Trans-Pacific Parkway, creating a turn lane to go northbound, lengthening the turn lanes onto Trans-Pacific Parkway from Highway 101, and maybe even a traffic light should be considered here due to the increased traffic. This was originally a project, I believe, from Jordan Cove due to their concern for the traffic flow. I didn't get a cost value associated with this. I didn't remember what they had estimated at the time. In addition, we also want to think about the riprap or the rocks along the Trans-Pacific Parkway to mitigate any kind of sloughing of the road or the shoulder off any of the bay. And then, of course, the most commonly talked about project is the overlay of Trans-Pacific Parkway. An average of 240 to 300 trucks, large trucks, transverse Trans-Pacific Parkway in a day, which is huge and greatly impacts the wear and tear of the road. There is significant cracking of the asphalt, and a lot of the road is uneven, wavy, and bumpy. There's also been talk about turning lanes needed, turning lanes into or freeway stops or crosswalks or the crossings at some of the businesses such as at Southport to facilitate some of that traffic there. Per David Milliron's email today, it would cost $2.5 million to repave and paint the entire road and should be done within the next 3 years per the North Bend Director of Public Works. They said that within 5 to 7 years, that price would increase another 1.5 million. And then most importantly, there are the substantial drainage issues along Trans-Pacific Parkway. In 2020 and 2021, the agency contracted with an engineer and spent $78,400 for engineering and design, and then solicited bids for construction, which came in at around $425,000 to $475,000. That was in 2020, 2021, so it's increased since then. That we never went forward with that project. Several inches of water accumulate in a section of the road, which is obviously a safety hazard, causes damage to vehicles as well as the road. And the drainage issue could be resolved and remedied by a stormwater system. There's currently no stormwater system on the Coos Bay. A stormwater system is necessary to manage excess rainwater runoff, prevent flooding, protect water quality, and maintain healthy ecosystems by channeling and treating stormwater before it reaches the bay or the ocean. This is extremely important with the amount of truck traffic we see on Trans-Pacific Parkway and the potential pollutants from the roadway runoff. This would be obviously a massive project. In 2017, the project was estimated to cost $4 to $16 million, depending on the extent of development. But I believe that we should probably start with the stormwater and impact assessment and the feasibility study. Commissioner Farmer questioned whether URA money can be used on parks, and yes, parks can be developed with tax increment financing. Your idea was to create an RV park or a campground that could generate revenues. The port owns a lot of property on the North Spit, everything in yellow on the map. And we've had the idea of the URA paying to develop the campground infrastructure on port property, the county managing an RV park, and then that'd be a great collaboration between the URA, port, and the county. In addition, the port also owns the North Spit Overlook, which is currently closed due to lack of maintenance and houseless camping issues. But that could be better maintained and promoted for recreational use, as well as there's the BLM launch ramp and many trails to the beach that could be better developed. And of course, there's the Coos Bay Rail Line swing span bridge, which also falls within the URD. The rail line swing span bridge is an extremely important piece of infrastructure, not only for the railroad, but for our community and economy. Currently, the bridge supports train traffic to 3 customers of the bridge: Ocean Terminals, GMA Garnet, and Danish Dairy. In the last 4 calendar years, 5,929 loaded cars crossed that bridge. That saved 15,089 trucks. And these are log trucks, aggregate rock trucks, and livestock feed trucks. So heavy trucks from crossing the Cola Bridge, being on our highways, and crossing through our city streets. Our train service over the bridge supports over 100 local jobs. But unfortunately, the bridge was built in 1914 and is continuously in need of repairs. Our upcoming repairs are expected to cost about $750,000, which, if not addressed, will cause the bridge to be shut down due to safety concerns. We calculate about $1.5 million of repairs are needed annually to maintain the bridge. A more reliable bridge will also attract new business and additional rail traffic, therefore creating more economic growth in our community.
Most of the loads for that come from one company.
That is correct. Yep, all the logs trucks. Yeah, it's about, if the bridge shuts down, well, in the last 4 years, it was 14,450 log trucks were saved from going up that bridge from our rail use instead. And if the bridge shut down, we may be required to provide transloading on the North Spit, which would then obviously increase more truck traffic on the North Spit. And then other project ideas include site development and readiness. The port owns a lot of undeveloped raw industrial zoned property, which the URA money could be used for site preparation. To make sites more shovel ready for new industries, reducing potential tenant upfront development costs. And like Lexi had said in our last meeting as well, business incentives are a huge enticement for industry. The 2006 URA plan authorized the agency to fund loans and financial assistance to parties wishing to develop in the URD. We could provide below market interest rate loans, assistance in providing utilities or other infrastructure, or just technical assistance with engineering, architecture. There's of course a lot of discussion about tsunamis and the impact of tsunami on the North Spit. A tsunami and resiliency study would answer a lot of those concerns and questions about how the North Spit would be affected by a tsunami, and installing a tsunami warning system on the North Spit is also a potential project to ensure proper notification of those in a highly impacted area. And there's also the talk about expanding the natural gas on the North Spit as well for future growth. I think that's all I have. So again, in conclusion, if anybody has anything to speak up, please do. You just have to remember what we're all about. We're created as a tool for economic revitalization.
Thank you, Lynell. Well, we have comments from the board. Anyone want to start?
Well, I guess I will. You know, just look at what we just looked at is enough right there to show you how important that North Spit Road is. Roseburg, Southport, the recreation area out there. And, you know, just like Ralph went over, and I'm sure these numbers are going to be even escalated more, but waiting any longer is just going to cost more. And if the county is already in a budget crunch, wait till you have to go work on that road to keep those businesses open. Or if that swing span goes down, these other companies in town need to access that road. I mean, I know you guys are in a hurry to get this thing, but even if you were to close it, you don't see the money this year anyway. It doesn't help your budget. And besides that, looking back here, these other numbers, there's like one, I mean, you guys get your $348,000, your $52,000 a year, it's closed. Well, 1.3 million goes back to the state. It leaves the county. I mean, there's a responsibility here to keep industry going in this community. Those are the biggest taxpayers, and it's been said they haven't done nothing for 10 years. Well, how much tax money have we collected off these businesses in 10 years?
That's where the increment comes from.
Exactly.
My business included.
I mean, they paid into it.
Yeah.
And now it's our responsibility to keep access to the largest industrial development we have in the county. I mean, it's black and white. I mean, we're not looking, I mean, we got a problem to fix tomorrow, but we got other problems 10, 20 years down the road. So we need to be looking at planning.
I'm here today to take input. We'll make a decision. Morning at 8 o'clock. I'd be happy to discuss what I think to make a case for discontinuing the URD. Aside and apart from what we do for the counties. Like if everyone else has to say.
Well, I think that was bad. I do part of the board, but also favored by the district. I think it's kind of short-sighted to look at something like that, say, well, it's not being used right now, let's take it easy for a one-time fee. I will say after we were here that morning, we talked about what we could do with it, the county, whether it can be used for sheriffs or any other needs. I did catch your meeting where it was promised as a retro COLA to staff that were non-elected or non-union, minus the board commission. I think that was probably the conclusions a little bit, knowing that we do have a lot of options. I think we were all pretty open to the fact that we explored a way to reduce that down, to lower the cap, to take a pause, to help you in any way you could to get out of the pinch you're in, but without dissolving the district to get it. But there's got to be an easier option than coming after ours. Something that we can do out there. So I think one thing, and I'll speak, my idea is that the county could take management of the agency back over, have an intergovernmental agreement, with the county and the URA, charge X for a management fee that you could bank on. We could even front load that agreement to prepay those so you could plug that figure into your budget. And then we have our cake and eat it too. We keep the agency, keep those funds so they're working towards their intended purpose for developing jobs and infrastructure to bring more businesses in for our community. I don't think there's any restriction that the agency can't prepay management fees in order to front end a lump sum of money to help plug some of the issues you guys have with the county. We could talk to legal and get more information, but I'd be fine personally, and I'm just speaking as a property owner out there. All of those businesses, and mine certainly is a massive investment. It's mostly the mills out there, but I've talked to people involved with those, and they would like to see the money stay out there and benefit the businesses that have been, paying the property taxes out there. That included an agreement where we paid 3 or 4 or 5 years in advance for prepaid services for the county to manage the agency, and that helps plug a figure that you can bank on right now, then I would be personally for that, and I would vote for that and look for a motion to that effect at some point.
I guess the way.
Joe here.
Yeah, Joe.
So John, so I talked to John, you and I'm a proponent of renewal, and it will continue to be so until those school funds will not be available to us. But as it was mentioned, 1.3 billion going back to the state, it's just a hard pill to swallow when we can utilize those funds so much better. It's been mentioned economic development, infrastructure that needs to be fixed there. I mean, you're still going to have to maintain the infrastructure out there, the roads and those other things, whether you expand it or not. Am I correct? And so you might as well have the agency in place to go ahead and handle that. And I think what Todd suggested, it might be one alternative to help the county get some funds. I know we got a lane on here. I mean, is there a way that we can expand it to Renewal into the county to help? Also, you got the RV park that could potentially be done, as Eric Farr mentioned in his testimony, that can generate some, also help with the tourism and also help with some interest, some income. So I don't know, can you expand this Renewal agency, Elaine, or is it going to be within the bounds of this?
I think what the chair was talking about is that the county would take over administration of the agency and get paid a fee from the tip revenues to do that. And I think that is certainly an eligible expense and administratively eligible to do that because the county actually sets up the agency. And whether or not you can front load that for 5 years? I don't know the answer to that. I've never had an agency do it, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be done. It just means you would need, before you did that, you would want legal counsel of some sort to say, yes, this would be an okay thing for you to do. And unfortunately, I'm not an attorney, so I can't provide that. But I think it's something you could certainly ask legal counsel if it's something that you could do. The only issue I see with it is if at some point you terminated the agency, I'd say it was a 5-year agreement, then you terminated the agency after 2 and they've been paid up front, then how do you deal with that? But I'm sure you can address that in some kind of intergovernmental agreement. So I think that that's an idea to look at.
Yeah, they'd be prepaid services and show up as an asset on the URA's balance sheet. And you could take care of
So what
that.
determines the cost that you can, what kind of cost can you determine that they charge? I mean, can it be an arbitrary number or is it gonna be justified in some fashion?
Usually with urban renewal areas, the cost is tied to actual work done. So getting the audit done, if you need an audit done, going through the budget, doing your annual report. If the agency is only doing those administrative things, then the cost would be rather low. If they're actually, if Coos County is actually administering projects, you do something to the road system and they're administering that, well then, sure, you can charge public works time for overseeing projects or doing projects. But there isn't anyone who says this is all you can do in admin. As a consultant, I usually try to get people to charge reasonable admin costs, but reasonable isn't defined.
You could do prepaid contracts where you work it off just like a retainer with a law firm. So I think it's worth looking into. It would give the county flexibility and let this agency front load a certain figure to the county to help plug their budget issues. And if we under levy or just don't levy, the county's going to get their 52 or 58,000 a year in addition, in perpetuity without showing this agency. Besides the front end load on, intergovernmental agreement for administration services and contract management for budget.
When it's paired with other economic development tools that are in the area, foreign trade zone and the enterprise zone, and also looking at the different assets, water, airport, rail, I think it'd be a good thing to keep. It has worked in other areas, sometimes it's a matter of having the right planning, giving it enough time for that plan to work the way it's planned.
So, thank you so much for the presentation. That was really informative. And I know that everybody here at this table is interested in figuring out how we can increase economic development in our area. So that was mentioned before, and I appreciate that. All of our independent agencies here are in the same situation where we're looking at how do we increase the our budgets, and I very clearly and I think that's we all want to work together to help the county do that because we live in the county and are trying to work together. So I think there's some really viable options here. Lots of great information about what we can do to support the businesses that are out there that are already creating revenue and it's space for us, how we can support them. I was also thinking about, I know that, partnering together with other agencies or say there's potential grants out there, we would need matching funds for that. So I think there's lots of reasons why we would want to look at dissolving this so that it can be used as a economic tool. I thought that was such a creative idea to, at the end of the day, we're trying to increase revenue to the county to help pay for these essential services. Doing things like having an RV park that's managed by the county could be an incredible opportunity to probably get started up pretty quickly. I wouldn't think that would be a project that would take a long time. That's something that could maybe even get funds to the county quicker than if say it was dissolved, I know that wouldn't even happen immediately, that $52,000 a year bump would be still quite a ways out. So there's a potential to even get funds to the county quicker by looking at some of these other options. And I like the entrepreneurial spirit of that to continue to create funds coming in, potentially build. So, some of the things and the comments that were made that were not lost to me is that if there is a way to keep those funds here local, instead of sending over $1 million back to the state, I think we need to really keep our eye on that. If we can, those are our money for our community members that we can put to work. And I just think that there's been lots of different options of work on the bridge or the overlaying of the roads out there. I didn't realize it was 300. Sounds like together about 300 trucks going back and forth every year. I hate for us to be short-sighted and then have the county be put in a bad situation where all of a sudden there's some major, sounds like the road is delayed maintenance already, but road maintenance that needs to be taken care of that there isn't funds in the budget to come up with. So it looks like there's a lot of different ways to move forward on this. Excellent idea about, so the port is receiving funds right now to manage it. If that's another quick fix where if the county has capacity to manage the URA, especially since these are county roads that need to be worked on, that would make sense. But after that, I would totally make that motion for you, Chair, if that's something that we would want to serve in this meeting. I think there's a lot of different pathways that we could move forward now.
Yeah, we could, I would entertain a motion that would have fees, to make sure that we get the legal sign off and so forth. The limit of the prepaid services that we're looking at, say around the $300,000 range. So that's kind of what I would be looking for. Yeah.
I have something. I'm really sorry that this is happening. No one in this room that thinks economic development is more important than that. Been there for decades, not just a few years. I have decades, the rest of you have. I want to talk about some concerns I have about it. So people think I'm just going a wet blanket on. And it's Elaine's still here. I'd like her to respond to some of these. I'm of the opinion, I can hope that can't use our refund for different new developments. My understanding is that when the city we did, I'm very, very thankful. They had to rebuild, not this. So I'm not sure that we can use, the county could use URD funds to overlay the road.
Well, you have to take all the asphalt down to the base, and there's sections out there that are rutted. I mean, you've got jetty rock running out there, 60-ton boulder.
That's the capital project.
Yeah.
Although Elaine went through.
So there's sections out there that need to be taken out.
There's ways to do that, but you use the term maintenance. Some of these things we talked about, like the intersection of the Parkway 101, that I understand is going to be funded by 30 people when that is it. Why would we want to do local that? Any
There's
sort
no
of,
Georgia code anymore.
no, there is, but there,
Yeah.
but we don't. I don't know that what we have right now requires that change at that intersection. So
Well, that's why the money was in there, to wait for the appropriate time to spend it on something that made a difference.
but I'm thinking that something like that done by whomever comes to build this. And let me finish, and I can't project with all the meetings we do, and I don't think any of us can. If the container terminal comes, where are they going to be? Where is the road going to be? Where is the railroad going to be? how many railroads do we have to have out there? We're gonna time every. So, you know, one comes out. I just foresee so many things that I wouldn't know where to begin to make some of the major improvements that we're talking about. Talk about incentives. Projects of the magnitude that are being discussed are likely to look to the state and urban renewal district. That's for certain goals. They ask for, I can't remember what they call it, but state has strategic investment plans. 3 or 4 different schemes, but
The enterprise.
enterprise. But what it really does is it converts students. And so if that happens, there will be no tax dollars to pay back these improvements that we made in anticipation of something coming, but we don't even know what that something requires. We don't know where the road's going to be. And it certainly won't be where it is beyond Southport. That's all going to be pavement and all that. And another thing, from what I understand, the only traffic that will be going out there after construction, more rail cars, not more traffic. Because I don't think we're going to be, from what I don't think we're going to be taking anything in and out of that facility. Great, constantly have to build something first. We aren't going to ship very many containers this year. Oh, they're still there, but yeah, but we can maintain their road. That part's still good. As far as the park goes, I want to be competing with you.
But I don't think you would, because you don't have access to the sand.
Now, what's that right out in front? It's a beach.
Yeah, that's fine.
But-
More the merrier. It's
But-
kind of like junk food corner, the more fast food
Well,
restaurants, you have, the better.
that's not appropriate.
It's choice.
Um,
Yeah, we rent the whole campground for UTV takeover and then shuttle people down, you don't understand.
So, I think there is grants and expectations. We have to have some expectation for people that come here to pay their way. I don't know that we know enough about what these are my kids, to spend very much money out there. What we think of the interterminal or anyone else that we don't know. Or
The people that are out there, Roseburg or, Southport, if they can use something like, reducing the flood issue at the south end to benefit, certainly the poor property beyond that, out by Columbus.
but that's going to be where the container.
I don't think they're going all, they're out there on that end. And I think,
I don't know.
TV Western's gonna go out south.
They've already decided to move, so they're
Right.
not in the equation. We can't spend the kind of money that would take for
Yeah.
that. So it
But
could be,
none of us can foresee the future.
so I know we can't, but I don't think it would be good for us to put in a training system and we pay for that more than like. Container.
But
Maybe I'm wrong.
Southport's not doing anything, they're expanding.
But-
And that's nearly it, but yeah.
Well, where is, well, maybe I don't know what it is. That's
South.
really important. South, right. So everything from southward south is likely to be dug up and redone.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we didn't fix flooding issue.
Yeah,
We're spending the money on the engineering.
I
Because
understand.
that was gonna be,
So why
Take
would
care
we
of.
spend URA money on fixing the flooding?
So you guys had asked for examples, right?
Uh,
And there's a
let
lot
me-
of volunteers and staff.
Let me.
Friday and today to get this ready. I mean, a lot of people put a lot of time in this, which I feel The decision was already made. It's a waste of a lot of time.
No, I'm giving you
I know.
I just want, I listen to everything you said, and I've written it down. And I'm giving you my concerns about some of the things. It will not be my, it will be a decision of the board, of management. And so I'm the one, and I'm going to tell you, this people, all of you told me, what you think, why you think we should do this. And I simply think I have some concerns. If the county were to take over, I don't, number one, we would have to hire, we don't have. I think it would be subject to a lot of criticism if we made a lot of money on the network. I have no idea what the cost. I'll come in, I can't do it tomorrow. I mean, I want to talk about it. And expect to make a big profit. And if we took money,
It's prepaid services.
but if we took money for prepaid services, that means that we're not going to be able to charge those services when we enter the process. And you've all said, a lot of this is one-time money. Well, we have need for one-time money. You have notice for the elephants around
You
here.
can legally do what I suggested and plug your immediate problem. And you get the resumption of no increment for following years where you're retaining your $50-some thousand a year. You can bank on it, plus whatever administration costs.
No,
I just don't
I like
see-
that. I want to look at that more carefully.
Yeah,
I like the suggestion, and I agree with you.
materially, it gets you full where you want to be this year, and that's the emergency, right?
I mean,
Without.
we
killing
spent
yourself.
down our reserves, having
Yeah.
$300,000, very fun. And having 50,000 more coming in year after year after year. So it's very- we can combine that with some other opportunities. Don't have to let another person.
You can have an agreement, a sub-agreement too, and contract out some of those management services. Anyway, it's getting convoluted.
Yeah.
Elise?
First of all, I agree with Mayor Benetti. I'm a proponent of urban renewal. I'm not a proponent of it being used to be a savings account, but I feel like that's what we've done the last few years. I want to see projects happen. I owe you an apology for last week when we were talking about it. I'm new to it. I was trying to get up to speed on this district, the 4 days, and I didn't want that we could develop infrastructure for a campground and a
Don't worry
county,
about it.
and a public agency can actually operate it once that happens. I thought it had to be a private business, but I certainly, if the county saw a value there was a business plan that would support that.
Yes.
That would be a great collaboration.
That was my initial pitch when I brought it up.
I am surprised and I do support projects, and I think urban renewal should be used to do that. There are two businesses that we've been talking about on the North Spit that I know support at least 200 living wage jobs in this road. Their trucks can drive their products back and forth across those roads. I believe the flooding down by Southport is between their main entrance and their new road that they pull out. They plan to pull out with a pellet truck. So if that's flooded in the winter, it creates a problem for them, and regardless of whether this district goes forward, I would assume the county will be on the hook for dealing with that problem at some point. And the longer we wait to do that, the worse. Urban renewal gives the county and the port the ability to take out a loan and actually reconstruct the road there and address the drainage issue. I don't see a better way to do that than urban renewal. And it supports 200 living wage jobs. People going to work every day in a business that pays taxes. All of those people pay taxes here. Most probably own homes, and to me, longer term vision, that's the lift. If we do support those jobs and those businesses' ability to expand, you get those taxes other places. The proposals to help make the county whole, I don't know what I think about that. I would like to know whether it's Elaine said, whether that is a violation. And I hear what you're saying, John, about, you know, does that mean you're hiring a person? Good luck hiring a person for $52,000 a year paid benefits. Probably not doable. Is it something we can current staff and be reimbursed for it? Maybe there's an opportunity there. And I do think to the other project that Linnell pointed out at the intersection with it's certainly is major section. And I don't know if there's an opportunity to partner with ODOT, but to Jessica's point about having matching funds to do projects like that, again, seems like a good use of urban renewal money and have some major projects.
Well, even if you do something like I suggested, we just 123 that's not being lost forever. Like one back. So there is a kind of problem that needs to be checked out legally to make sure that we would be taking an action that's justified.
The parts that when I brought this up initially and with the board, it was to, well, initially I thought close and then wiser money 3 steps. Being told everything I didn't. My initial proposal was under levy and then find a way to spend another 2.4 trillion, 2.8 million on revenue generating projects. Parks is something that came up. I like that suggestion. That's long-term revenue. It's not the one-time kick, but it took well over a generation to get into this situation. 40 this year, it's been this way my whole life. Yeah, it's Coos County young, but it's not that young anymore. It's going to take time and it's going to suck as we get there, but getting something developed like parks could be generating, it sounds like it could even support your business well by that.
Which isn't anything that
Yeah, I'm not saying it's your
Yeah.
intent, but it's to the point that it will enhance.
There'd be some synergy because there is recreation out there besides the industrial water dependencies.
Yeah, but I think when I look at that as well, sometimes people argue you have to have one or the other, and I walk down the tourist street in Newport. Got tourism on one side, and then the prepay admin, it is a liability moving forward, and that the money would have been paid up front before service. But either way, we're looking at a bad situation where we're talking about one time, so it could be useful. We don't have.
Oh, there would be a transition period.
But the transition.
And, you know, in the transition between the port and the county, there's a period of time there.
Yep, we can do a transition plan.
That's right.
And then once staff are in place at the county, that even gives us
That's
an
the
additional
backstop.
staff member.
Right.
So we could enhance capacity, similar to what we do with the sheriff. Warehousing the Elliott Forest, probably then I ran after the full office. Budget cycle. Keeps job takes a little more burden off us. Same contract here. It pull that off. The CIP as far as truck traffic. Shipyards are still, trucks won't go as much, but they're gonna have a ton of trucks out there. We'll see some trucks. It's good. I talked to Kate from Southport today. They didn't seem to have an awareness of this program. Is from them itself. Flooding didn't all this problem. Related to the school funds, though, I reached out to the folks that do state school funds, mixed up with the common school funds. But the system that does the backfill, they are gonna get back to me before the end of the week. Yeah, probably a little more this time, because this urban renewal district has existed since 1987, if I recall correctly. And that funding system wasn't developed until the really early time, if I remember. So a portion of this money would have been approved for that system, would have related to the first. It's a possibility we wouldn't have to do 1.3, but all the same, I like the idea of sustainable revenue under levy so that it's not coming out of our general fund anymore.
Right.
But I need to sell because that's what I propose to make.
Well, I think your communities and everybody else there at the table, consensus wise, I think would love to see the three commissioners come to that decision. But we realize ultimately it's out of our hands as well. So we're just trying to make the best case we can, so.
Yeah, I know. I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain why I have some of those things. And one concern I have, who would own the park?
Are we talking about before owning it and then we manage it, or we would own it?
Well, I would advocate before you even get to that discussion of this organization becomes a real organization and meets on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Develops information and plans that it implements. And there are proposed projects out there that have allocate bids on them. People want to move forward with this organization. Projects that businesses need, and if they don't need them, then we should know that too,
Well,
correct?
that's what the board's for, is to make those decisions.
I
That
appreciate it.
there are projects that are awarded in time.
I would even advocate if there is opportunity for this, since there's new members on the board to have a group training from Ms. Howard to kind of go over the details. Because thank you for kind of pointing out that if you as even, you're wearing a couple different hats in the community and as a business owner, you don't see it as competition. Because I think that if we really look at how the URA is designed or the agency is to bring in development encourages further development and investment encourages further investment. And so if it, I think with some training, we can kind of take a look at rethinking. This isn't competition against other business owners, but it's a way to breed more development out there. And again, solve that bigger problem that we have of increasing some more tax revenue.
Yeah.
I'm 52 this year, and so not for as long as Commissioner Sweet, but getting close. And we haven't seen the development or the company, people say like, oh, well, don't be competition. We should just have wait and organizations will come in. Well, they haven't. And so sometimes that's what you have to do as cities or URAs is to figure out ways to increase economic development. So I really hope that that's something that the commissioners can speak to solve the bigger issue here, which is to getting more funds to give services to our community members.
Well, and digging back in my memory, and maybe but South Florida, I believe when they went spit, use public tax dollars for development of the barge slip, connect Oregon money. I don't know if there was urban renewal money engaged in that, but to develop that business out there did take public investment. Sometimes it takes that to spur that growth and private investment. So, I think it was Connect Oregon.
Connect Oregon.
So taxpayers.
And I think that. Put together a road to serve home, airport. Marine Corps.
Oh, multimodal.
Intermodal, that's the different thing. We don't even them nuts. No, remember things. There's money.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Strange has been, he's got quite a bit of it.
Because matching dollars make projects.
Yeah, so I don't
We
argue
could
with it, I
argue.
will say this.
Especially if
I
it's a
agree.
better
I just think. it's really close to my side. We'll take these back. And- Another department.
Hey, Todd?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the lane, and I forget to give an answer about, John asked the lane about how, roads can be upgraded or not. I mean, I'm saying, I'll give you an example, John, not necessarily with related to roads. The boardwalk was paved forward. It needs some, upgrading now, and we're using a renewal again. I'm not sure if that same thing would apply with some of the roads, when it's paved.
And I think you, the folks in the meeting have talked around this issue and done a pretty good job of explaining what it is. So if you just went in and filled potholes, that is not typically an urban renewal expenditure. But if you grind the road down and put in and pull new top to that, that becomes more of a capital project and is an improved expenditure. So, right. And unfortunately, the statute, of course, doesn't say any of that specifically, but it's interpretation on what the statute actually says. So you can read or 457, it talks about the kinds of activities that you can do and doesn't say maintenance. Maintenance on roads then gets interpreted different ways in different localities. And if I've been involved, I've always told them, no, we can't just go out and fill potholes with urban renewal funds, but you can go in and resurface and an entire roadway. And when you look at sections of the roadway in the pictures that were shown, I certainly think it looks like it could totally be used in that way.
I think that's such an important note because we're, getting less and less gas tax every year as the cost.
Right.
So instead of patchworking things together with potholes, things would be fixed properly. And, on a larger scale than just kind of putting Band-Aids on, because those funds are not increasing as last tax.
And those pictures were all way east, or down the Trans-Pacific, towards the highway. They weren't all the way at everything.
And, I look at it as showing that type of investment from our county is as we were doing it in comments the other day from our development council. It's a market signal to say, okay, we're doing right to this part of the data.
One of the things I always talk about to urban renewal agencies is, do you have funding for this important project? Or is urban renewal the funding source? So when you look at that roadway, when I worked on that 2017 amendment for the port, and it included working on that roadway then, it included addressing the flooding issues then. And the real question is there county funds to do that if you don't pay for it with urban renewal? I don't think so. I don't think the county has money to do that road, but urban renewal potentially does. So just looking at can this provide new resources and improvements that you can't do otherwise? And I think that's an important consideration.
I think that another part, when I looked at this sheet, that made me a little more nervous, because especially if that road amendment came in 2017, gotta happen. And it's been inactive a while. The swinging bridge, the rail bridge, has had this size pothole from the steel since pre-2016. Shut down. I would get pictures of the holes, so it needed that work well before now, but that's to your point, we need to really push on that. And I would say I've been associated with agencies that faced ending before, and they started meeting 2 to 4 hours a day, 3 to 5 times a week. I don't think we have to do that, but meeting annually definitely. But the agency facing an existential threat, it needs all that work everyone put into it.
Sure, I know that.
If you would have, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, I was just gonna tell the chair, make mention that I know that Councilor Slater had come for public comments.
Yeah.
If you want to be part of the discussion, because I know he has some comments he wanted to clarify, but I
Yes,
don't want to cut off
yeah,
your.
we're getting close. Joe, do you want to add something and then we'll go to public comments?
Well, you mentioned that maybe the port could take over the operation of the Renewal County, Coos County Renewal Agency. But you know that you collaborate with the port and maybe even contract with them to help you get done and still come out with a profit. They haven't, and I'm speaking port way out of line here, where I'm just on the side of it, but there's a lot of benefit for this agency to continue on out there for development of the port. So I bet they would be willing to help collaborate with you on the operations of the agency.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, so we're gonna move to public comments. Please note that we're using the phone for audio. We ask you to speak up so those attending virtually can hear you. If any of the other guests in the room would like to ask questions or provide comment, we invite you to please come forward to the microphone. There is a seat reserved here for you at the table. The Port of Coos Bay values our citizens, of course, it's the URA to say. Values our citizens' input, participation in these meetings. The public comment period is intended for the public to share information, ideas, and concerns with the board. It's not intended for interactive discussion or question and answer session. If you have specific questions, we ask that you address those to staff either by calling the office, sending an email, or using the contact us portal at the port's website. The public comment period should be limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers may not convey or donate their time to another speaker. During any designated comment period, individuals shall not engage in personal attacks, shall not challenge the motives of any speaker, and shall conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. Never had those issues at a URA meeting, but I can recall. Tim, would you like to come on up?
Oh, feel like that.
Just yell. I have faith.
Well, appreciate the discussion which going on, and certainly the list of projects go up, which underlying what I was at as well. I'm really out to clarify comments that came out of the county commissioner meeting several weeks ago. And part of it was they said, as we got into the situation, I mentioned, well, I was there as it started. Oh, well, come tell us about that, which I did. And the interagency task force was put together in 79 and 80. Actually, TCOG was sort of the one which was asked to do that for the county. And
Sandy Dietrich.
Sandra Dietrich, absolutely. And I was an industrial monitor and on a couple of the subcommittees, which subcommittees actually did issue specific work to give back to the task force. What we found after 2 years, the state people weren't entirely honest about their commitment to that process. And the county then stopped that, took it over, and we finished the plan and submitted it for acknowledgement. And within the plan, they took exceptions from statewide goals or from the coastal goals for specific industrial use in that particular area. So that's how it got set up that way and went to the planning commission at that point. Planning commission too. But and a quick aside, the first use of that industrial land was in 83, 84 with Weyerhaeuser's Paycon project, which was an oil rig fabrication set in the last battle. then the lessee stepped out because the price of oil went. So that's sort of consistent if we had the permits. Thereafter, the urban renewal agency formed for all the reasons you know, all that went on that day. And I was in the initial 85, 86, and from 90 to 98 as part of that. And, you know, as I looked at all that, we talked about successes. Obviously, South Coast Formative success. The continuation and growth of Roseburg forest products is a success. But like any businesses, some of them work and some of them don't. Whereas our aquaculture facility out there, the national Weyerhaeuser container board is out there. And that's sort of the nature of what goes on. They work in something. But the last part of my set was after those successes, with this great opportunity in front of us, with the containerized cargo piece coming in, we're going to need rail spurs and who knows whatever else to help facilitate to ensure that that business is successful or is happening, that we do our part within it. Therefore, it is not a time to I was two parts of my comment. There are successes that well with infrastructure. It's not a time to stop because we've got probably big factors.
I must have misheard.
Pardon me?
I must have, yeah, exactly. I must have misheard when you presented.
Yeah, that was the end. That's why. Well, I enjoyed being this, but that's why.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have anybody else signed up for public comment. So any other further discussion?
So I know that the next steps are that we're gonna be in, conference.
Right?
Yeah.
Thursday,
Does this group want to start thinking about what, I know that, I mean, to get another meeting on the schedule, to get, make a decision if they want to have some training from our URA professionals.
Yeah, we can set up a meeting, I guess, anytime after Thursday to decide our fate, right? So, maybe we should get together Friday, if everybody's available, whatever time works. Oh, decide, okay. Well,
So you need to be there.
how, yeah. So, 8 AM on Thursday.
Then budget committee, what an exciting.
Then we're in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, Thursday, Friday.
If we can get some answers, because I'd like to show up Thursday and be able to give a little bit of comment regarding what our intentions are. But I think it might be wise to still have motion with contingencies that I would be able to show up with, and this board has had an agreement. I think that this is the direction we would like to see agency go and recommend to the county at that time. And then hopefully I would have some answers before Thursday on legally what we can do in regards to, say, a prepaid services agreement and propose intergovernmental agreement between the county and the agency, and then how that would look as far as the transition period of time for management between the port helping out in that transition. That would look like. It's not a lot of time, but I think it's worth doing.
Well, I think it's also important to speak to the commissioners that this urban renewal agency board as a body is going to make a recommendation. And it might be different than what is there's probably going to be there could be a recommendation of this body that is a majority of a Yeah. Well, but so in this group right now, you have representatives from Coos Bay, North Bend, the Fork, and the county. And as a body, it seems that what I'm hearing from those people is that there is a consensus to keep this. Even though not everybody agrees, I still think it's important to have on record what that recommendation is. Have a motion with that, like there is a recommendation. So I don't know if this is something that we want to have two different motions about that there's multiple recommendations to move forward, or potential motion.
I would recommend we do it.
Yeah.
And as part of going forward, I would like to move with yeah.
You have vacation?
I am on vacation, but I can call home.
Someone
If-
put it on. How much profit you make.
Is there
I think it's one motion, but your motion is to recommend that not disband.
Yeah.
And to look at some of the suggestions that proposed. And starting with that is the need for support and your find out what is the opportunity for the town to take over management.
How do we rate that?
You make a motion to move forward, to go against this and start looking at. I have a say, but I think all you need to know, what we need to know is that this body is against the IND.
Okay.
Then start looking into this.
Like to take a motion to recommend that the urban people is not disbanded or under but to continue to move forward. And that it's not.
Yeah, one of the things in my piece was prepaid services contract, okay, and
So how about I add and explore the potential possibility of the county managing your.
I don't know if we want to put the levy, the annual levy in the motion or not, because that was one of the things, you know, funding, some of us agree that we should continue to levy for economic development. Others like, well, how do we, year to year, to make that decision? If county, we want to forego it, so they get their 50-some. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is my motion was kind of not line with your. Or
Recommend that we are a policy.
thanks for the possibility. No.
Okay, and the recommendation is to county board of commissioners, that's why we're doing this. So it's on the record. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, we have two abstentions. Yes. Okay. Very good. On Wednesday, you want to get together on Wednesday? No, just us in the port.
Someone in the board. One of us.
Yeah, so what we're supposed to do on Wednesday, first thing in the morning?
8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phone call. And then, of course, that's investigating. Have, yeah, we used to have Nate. Yeah, it's been a while since we had it.
We're gonna wait here on the meet again.
Does anybody here want to attend with me Thursday morning at 8 a.m.? Thursday. I'll see you there at 8 a.m. Thursday. Okay. Okay, well, that's great. Okay, we've got it. Okay, back on Wednesday. Well, thanks for listening to all these. Ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully get a few more answers, like kind of a legal too, that I could testify to. Hopefully would give us the legitimacy of public. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up, Ron.
My pleasure. I think you guys need to go listen to yourselves. Yeah, you sound like a bunch of political hacks fighting over a slush fund. Nothing personal. I know you guys are trying to do what you think is right, but that's what it sounds like. And that's what it's coming across to me. And the taxpayers, not once was mentioned during this meeting. That's pathetic.
We talked about the taxpayers that are
And so is every other taxpayer out there, because there are 6 countywide tax-paying districts who pay for that debt. So everyone's in this, and we should have had a vote on it, and we never have. So here I am walking out after the meeting. There we go. Okay. There I am after the meeting. And as you heard, if you were watching the commissioners and watching the port commissioners, who by the way aren't elected, and you could tell by the way the taxpayers weren't represented in that meeting, they don't seem to give a damn about what we think. If they did, they were demanding that this be put on a vote, but they didn't put it on a vote. They just want to find a way to appease the county because the county's looking to get $50,000, but they can't get the $50,000 returned annually. But Renewal Agency is closed. So they want to come up with this scheme to take the money out of the Urban Renewal Agency, turn it back over to the management of the port, and pay them to do that management. It's absolutely ludicrous. So I don't know. And some of their projects they come up with, the Transcontinental Highway is paid for by our state tax dollars. So it's ridiculous that they would want to use urban renewal money because we already pay it. That's double dipping. Two, the county shouldn't be in the business of owning real estate and in business. They shouldn't be owning RV spots, private parks like that. It's ridiculous. They're competing against business. How you doing today?
Good, Marcel.
I'm hanging in there. Always good people in Coos County. But that was just my experience at the Urban Renewal Mini. There's a bunch of people fighting over a slush fund. They know the slush fund is about to go away, and if they went to you, the voters, I'd be willing to bet they would shoot down the Urban Renewal Project. I'd be willing to bet the voters would rather see that money go to the county than to be wasted on whatever the hell those people want to waste money on. And I don't think these people are bad people. I just think they're confused on what their goal is. If their goal is to steal every last dime out of the property owner's pocket, well, they're on their way to doing a good job of that. But if their goal was to actually represent the taxpayer, well, then they didn't do a good job in that room because nobody was paying attention to the taxpayer. It's sad. It's pathetic. And that lady who was on there who said she talked about the taxpayer, she didn't talk about wanting to get this money back to them. All they talked about was having a slush fund. But it's up to you now. There's a meeting happening next Thursday. They're going to decide on whether to keep that or not. And if they keep the Urban Renewal Agency, it's just going to be more waste of your tax dollars. Money that could go back into the general fund to help the county pay for its law enforcement. Now, do you want law enforcement? Or do you want people like that port, they were up in that port commission, do you want them to have your money? I know who the hell I don't want to have them to have my money are those people up there, up in the port office. They don't give a shit about what happens to us. All they're interested in is trying to find a way to spend our money on one of their pet projects. And you got to ask yourself, why? What do they get out of it? Well, one of the people on the port, he's a business owner. He's obviously going to benefit from any project that this is that's done by the urban renewal. If you don't live in an urban renewal area, you don't get any benefits like that, but yet you pay for it. You pay for the debt, and it's nonsense. And I love how they invite you. They invite you to speak at the meeting. Then they have the audacity to tell you what you can and can't say. Fuck these people. They're doing a lousy job. Like I said, I don't think they're inherently bad. I just don't think they know what the fuck they're doing. And what they are doing is just trying to feather bed their own pockets. So I hope you contact the commissioners. After I get this posted, I'm going to put their contact information on this podcast and contact them and let them know you want your fucking money back. You're tired of this bullshit. You're tired of seeing them waste it. And if nothing's done about it, this is just going to continue. And it'll be a cold day in hell before anyone's going to vote for a tax increase for these people. If you're not going to use it responsibly, then we're not going to give it to you. So that was my report for today. I'll see you guys on Friday. It should be one hell of a rant. Until then, carry on, Coos County. Carry on.